So as I said, more about AI. And in this case, what about the other side of the table? If we're embracing AI and using it in such many and varied ways, then what are the salespeople up to? Well, no surprise at all, they're doing the same thing. And in some cases, ahead of us. Are they using it to draft proposals? And as we said yesterday, is our AI drafted RFP being responded to by a sales manager's AI drafted response? Well, to explain a little more, delighted to welcome from Autogen, Emma Crichton and Jess Barwood, and they're in Sydney, I think, and the Gold Coast. Emma, you're around the corner from the PASA team. You could have gone round, it'd have been quicker. And I'll leave you in capable hands, everyone.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Let me just share my screen. One moment. Here I am. Share. Okay, how am I doing so far?
Yeah,
all good? Okay. Hey, everyone. Nice to be here, Jonathan. Thank you so much for having us. Yeah, we're going to tell you a little bit about, I'm going to do a little bit of a thesis on generative AI. I'm sure there's lots of different literacy in the room on AI. But yeah, we are software for enterprise customers that write bids, tenders, and proposal, business to government, business to business. We are a company that is about 15 months old now, a London founded and operated headquarter. But last year in August on Series A funding, we established ourselves in Americas and in APAC, and we put the head office here on the Gold Coast. And I was appointed CEO. I myself have a background in bidding and operations, and so does our founder, who I might talk a little bit more about shortly. And Jess Barwood, who I'm going to introduce in about 10 minutes or so, is an account manager here, and we might show you a bit of a look at our software. And please interrupt me at any time if I don't see questions, etc.
Em, just if you want to put on presentation mode for your PowerPoint, that would be fab.
Okay, so I've done it wrong. Sorry. Here we go. Is that better?
Jess? That's all good. I don't think it's converting for some reason, but we can see the slides perfectly, so that's fine.
Okay. All right, let me start off with a short thesis about the changes that have transformed the world through generative AI. Any revolutionary innovation needs to do two things. It needs to speed things up by orders of magnitude. And it needs to be at the heart of what humans do. It needs to be innately human. For example, the abacus introduces the ability to add, subtract, and multiply faster, leads to trading goods and services faster and more complex trade. We establish the fundamentals of an economy. The printing press allows us to share ideas, write persuasive arguments, show off how smart we are. This increased literacy rates led to the Reformation, critical sharing of scientific discoveries. The steam engine critically speeds up machines. This leads to the Industrial Revolution. Humans love building, making, and creating things, and this leads to increased economic growth. Electricity speeds up the development of new tools and devices and ultimately changes the world for humans forever. Lights.
Slides aren't actually moving. Would you like me to share on your behalf?
Oh.
I've got the slide that you're up to ready to go on my screen. So if you'd like me to share on your behalf, please let me know.
All right, that sounds good. I'm so sorry. Here I am just talking away. I don't know why. Yes, please. So you were all supposed to see imagery there of lovely abacus and the steam engine and electricity. Thank you for helping me out. Okay, electricity, and now we can move on to the next slide. Okay, radioactivity. Speeds up converting matter to energy, introduces physics, radiology, and nuclear. The internet, something we've all lived through, the most revolutionary advancement of the time and history, speeds up knowledge sharing exponentially and increases global trade by magnitudes never done before. And now the large language models. Speeds up writing, reading, and the creation of ideas, the most fundamental of human skills that we know. Next slide. So what brought us to this point? And what are LLMs really doing? These things needed to happen. Oh, sorry, we've got a different order of slides. Here. All right, well, I'll jump to a case study. One of our customers, Serco, they're a global company. Many of you may know them. Many of you may compete against Serco. They are a customer of AutogenAI. Through this partnership with them, the decision for them to do a 3-year rollover of their contract came through a proof of concept that we did with them that demonstrated 85% efficiency in productivity gains. This has also led to global knowledge management sharing, something that had never been done before in this organisation, and their win rates have increased dramatically. Serco are using our software across all of their operations globally, and in APAC, we're managing Serco's operations throughout Australia and up into Hong Kong also. Okay. And we might just skip through that one. When it comes to, and interesting following the last presentation on is AI there and can you trust it? One of the most important things when it comes to competitive tendering or submitting to procurement processes is that what you write is true and verifiable. And it's very important that when we're holding a company's holy grail, their bid collateral, their corporate information, that their data is safe and that they can trust us. And as an organisation only 15 months old, we've achieved all of the accreditations to keep organisations at a level like Serco who are dealing with sensitive and classified information safe. So here's our commitment to trust slide just to demonstrate the accreditations that exist whilst using software. And if you are operating in the States as well, we're on track for FedRAMP accreditation. Next slide. Jess is going to talk to more of us about this when she takes us through the software demonstration. And what do we have next? Okay. One thing if I had my slides up, and I apologize terribly, why did we decide that generative AI was a use case for tendering in competitive processes? Our founder, Sean Williams, was himself a bidder for many years in companies such as G4S, large outsourcers. He then had another company which he sold and went into retirement. And when he was in this 3-week period of his life, his best mate was working at Google's DeepMind. He invited Sean to have a look at the first synthetic brain that Google's DeepMind were working on, and he immediately saw a use case for a problem that he understood. The competitive tendering landscape, business to government alone per annum, OECD countries, is $3 trillion US. And when you add business to business to that, it takes that amount, it triples it in size or more. The other thing that's interesting about this use case to solve a problem is that win rate's generally around 45%, and bidding is a highly competitive business activity where there are resource restraints and all sorts of time restraints to be successful in winning. It's critical business activity. So our software that you're about to see now improves that problem for enterprises and assists you win more business, and all those bidding to you. It's going to help your eyes a little bit because you are absorbing Michelin food bidding quality rather than fast food that you might get from insecure, poorly built out generative AI solutions. So I might hand it over to Jess now to pull up the software and show that to you.
Thanks, Em. Hi, everyone. Lovely to be here with you all today. My name is Jess Barwood, as you know, and I'm the account manager here in the Asia Pacific region, Australia Asia Pacific region with Emma and the team. So today I wanted to take you through our revolutionary product, which is supporting big teams across the globe and addressing all of the key pain points that are experienced by big teams every day while doing their important work to generate revenue for organisations. So behind the hood here, Emma's already alluded to this product being designed for referenceability. So throughout the product, we've got three types of AI, library AI and internet AI, and also creative AI. So I'll talk to those a little bit more throughout the presentation. But today I was going to show you the different areas of the product that are designed to cover the different stages of the bid process. So we've got the extract beta, which is an area that uses supercomputing power, so mega transformations to condense really lengthy, complex bid documentation and specifications into digestible formats so that they can be used to brief teams or identify themes and requirements of buyers. The ideator here is best positioned in the storyboarding or brainstorming phase of the process, where we're coming together as teams and starting to craft the framework of our responses, but we might also be new people to the organisation or the subject matter, and we just need to get off a blank page. The editor is where all of the magic happens. This is where we're creating responses from scratch. We're editing, reviewing, or repurposing responses, but we also might be bolting on evidence like statistics or case studies to better make our arguments more credible throughout our bid responses. We've got some inputs here that can inform the writing themes and requirements that we need to stick to throughout the process, and also any languages that we might want to be translating into. The research assistant here is also supporting teams in accessing knowledge, whether it be from the business or out in the internet to better inform bid responses or even understand the market that we're competing into and also competitors. So with the ideator is the storyboarding. This is where we would be coming to generate ideas around how we can actually implement strategies. So I'm just copying and pasting here to save you guys the pain of watching me type. So just if you're wondering how the text is ending up there, it's just copy and paste from a document I've got here on the other screen. So in here, I'm asking a question around a service delivery component, and I'm asking it to give me some ideas around strategies that we could employ to deliver a particular service requirement. When I hit the generation button, it's going out to the library, the creative AI, and the internet AI, which are the three underpinning mechanisms in the system. Library AI and internet AI speak strongly to the referenceability and trust that our users can instill in the generative AI technology that is built into AutogenAI. It uses retrieval augmented generation, the RAG approach, which means that it's building on the large language model and actually calling out to the live internet or your document library, which is loaded by your teams to include all of your corporate collateral or your corporate corpus, so that you can write based on your past amazing work. It will tell you where it's come from. So the referenceability is super important. The whole design principle around this product is enabling the humans to understand where the writing has come from so that they can make decisions as to whether they want to use it or not. So it's all about that transparency. If I click on the Internet AI, it takes me straight to the website from which the idea or content has been derived. We recognise the importance of large language models and the beautiful writing that can occur as a result of those algorithms. So Creative AI is accessible throughout the solution as well for areas that you might just wanting to be thinking outside the box or just wanting some ideas on things that may not yet be on the internet or in your library as well. So it really does have a place here. But we always know that it's not referenceable because anything that comes straight from a large language model isn't actually citable or doesn't have a reference. So in this area, this design is to bring us over, select the ideas that we like, and that we can actually generate paragraphs off those to get us off a blank page. Really powerful for someone who, as I mentioned before, might be new to the organisation or subject matter, and they don't have access to subject matter experts that they need to get off a blank page, that they can actually write something that is useful and then take it to an area of the business to qualify whether or not the content is what they are after. Now, the ideator brings us into the editor, but by no means do you need to do that workflow. But this is where the system will generate some text for you to start playing with and refining within the solution. It is an augmenting tool, so it never expects that you should never expect, I guess, as a user, that it's going to write your final draft or your final response. It will generally get you to an 8 out of 10. We would expect it to do if you've asked it the right sort of, or you've sought the right sort of information out of it. So we have buttons up the top here, a lot, that can help you build out responses from scratch, refine them, edit them, or repurpose them. And these buttons up here, I'll just scroll, you can see the labels on them. They're all linguistically engineered to perform really complex tasks, but get the best result that you could possibly get. They actually ping a variety of different large language models that have been tried and tested and proved to have the best result for that particular linguistic task. So, for example, I might want to expand on this statement. I'm going to be asking the system to use a referenceable form of generative AI, my library AI, and I want to expand on it in 150 words. So this will enable us to expand on a particular concept or idea, and then it will bring it out onto the right-hand side. Now, back to that augmented technology principle is that we will always be offered a few options, say 2 to 3 for each type of AI, so that we can have a choice as to which one we like the most. And again, it will always reference where it's come from in the libraries. We also have the opportunity to explain how we might do something. So an example of this might be that we need to build out a methodology. So the system will be able to use Creative AI or Library or Internet AI, depending on what we've loaded, to present a framework of how we might complete a particular strategy or mobilize a particular strategy. So just while that's thinking there. I may not have selected the right type of one. Let me just see. So we also have word cutting or incorporation of themes. So I will just show you an example. If we're wanting to incorporate themes or requirements into our writing, we've got this inputs section here. Now, this inputs is configurable. We can put in our company values, or we could put in the buyer requirements, and then we can actually weave those themes right through the writing. So say this has come back from the reviewer. We've been told that we need to emulate the quality piece a little bit more. We can select incorporate, and it will incorporate or weave that theme throughout the writing. Also have a show difference button. Again, coming back to that augmenting principle, it will allow us the opportunity to review what's been adjusted. We also have a translation feature. So those of us that are global and have to respond to bids in different geographies, we have the ability to translate to any language that is prescribed in the inputs panel. The translation uses large language models, so it is much more accurate than most translation services. For instance, the Google Translate, which isn't using the large language models, but it will produce the translation here. So we're finding clients of ours that would typically go to translation services are cutting down their costs and the turnaround time by being able to present their services a translated version, just to have that quality checked instead of sending it through in English, or vice versa. Now, another feature that we've got here, which is highly valued by bid writers, is the word cutting and the word character count features. With the word cutting, we have the opportunity to remove adverbs or adjectives, and it will complete an edit here. I'll just remove that so it writes it out. And then we can also see the show difference. And the word count, which is highly valued, is if we need to get it down to a 200 word response and it's 290 now, we can just generate and that will cut that down. So this makes the effort with getting the large language model to do what it needs to do. It removes it and replaces it with a great button that has been linguistically engineered to achieve a really high quality result at the click of a button. And on the research assistant front, over here, this is where we can start to look at different things that we need to know that can help us build a more comprehensively researched bid response. So say, for example, we want to ask a question about the worth or the value that the procurement industry has in Australia. I could pop this question in, and then I can ask another one if I want to start building out a bit of a research report for the team. Now, this question is about the procurement trends in OECD countries. So let's say that I want to start to build on that. The system allows us to ask that one question, but then build out the different areas or geographies that I may want to cover in this response. So if I add variable there, I've previously saved one that has my OECD countries stored, but as an example, we've just got them written down here, and then I can stack this in and click generate. And what that will do is go out to the internet and the library. Now, one thing I didn't mention earlier is the way that the system is designed to search is it does use what we call a semantic search. So it uses not only keywords when it's going into your library or the internet, but it also looks for synonyms or words with the similar context as well. So the search results can be a lot more meaningful than it otherwise would have if you were doing Control Fs or relying on your eyes to read through documents as you would have ordinarily done without this technology. So once it's got the results here, it writes a synthesis of the answer, and it will tell you exactly where the information has come from. And if we scroll down here, you can see the different countries that I've asked the question of down here. So the UK, Australia, Germany, and each of them have their own sources so that we can verify where that's come from. With these answers, we have a few options of what we could do. The general use cases, we might find that our clients are building out a little bit more information that they want their bid teams to be writing on. So they could take this out and pop it in the document libraries. They could also just use this to brief their teams on trends that are impacting the likelihood of them being successful with the bid, or they could get the competitor analysis to help them understand what sort of strategies should be going forward in the bid. So with that said, I would like to take some questions if anyone has any on the product. And I'll just stop my share there. And
I've got a big question, Emma. How adaptable is your tool for procurement managers to use rather than sales managers?
Well, I mean, it is adaptable. You could build an RFT using our software. We have not taken advantage of similar offers with government purely because we're chasing a $3 trillion total addressable market, and our customers are enterprise customers bidding to government. So we're going to stay in that lane for a while. But if you were a enterprise client that bought us for your bidding purposes, I'm sure the procurement team would want a few licenses as well to build out the procurement.
Let's say, I don't know, just pick a brand, Telstra. Telstra sales team buy your products, an enterprise license. What's to stop the Telstra procurement team using it?
Nothing.
Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
I'll give them 5 for free if Telstra buy it.
Well, we were musing yesterday that of course there are buyers out there experimenting with ChatGPT, and we saw a demo with Copilot earlier on, who can write an RFT or an RFP with AI. So are we going to end up with our AI talking to your AI and may the best computer win? You know, I mean, is that where we're going?
What if I had have done my slides correctly? We do a case study on radiologists and how the godfathers of AI said that the AI would replace the radiologist. But what actually AI did was push the radiologists up the cognitive hierarchy instead of diagnosing, working on treatment plans. And they're now paid 3 times more than they were 4 years ago before AI was embedded in that industry. And we believe at AutogenAI that it's augmented artificial intelligence. So bidders and humans that are bidding professionals pushed up the cognitive hierarchy, and the critical thinking is done by them. And I think organisations should make decisions about who does the critical thinking in their organisation. And if they think it's a human, then our tool is for them, because the lower value tasks will be taken care of by the generative AI. And I think best bid teams win. And I think if you use an open source
right now, they're thinking, here's a big shortcut. You know, AI can do the heavy lifting. Give me 70% of the draft. I'll finish off the rest. And I think you strategically sound. I'll tell you why. Because pitching to the sales side, it's more common for a sales manager to be selling the same old product. In other words, 80% of their pitch doc is always going to be pretty much the same. But you compare that to a procurement manager who has traditionally got less resource, less focus, considered more back office, less resource. What that means is they're buying a much wider range of category. So it's not really as easy to take a standard RFP and say, well, I've used it for widgets this morning, I'll use it for services this afternoon. Now, buyers do that because we're trying to save time here, we're busy, but you know, it's not ideal, but it means you're stretching over a wider range of stuff you're buying. So if I was a salesperson selling your tools to salespeople, I think that's a good strategy. I think the minute you start selling it to procurement, you need a wider breadth. That's all. And I'm talking quite generically and at a macro level, you know.
I think that the smartest humans, sales, procurement, will build out the smartest document libraries and workflows for, as not everyone using Excel is doing the same financial model.
Yeah.
And
I've got one more question, actually, Emma, which is, sorry to interrupt. So I'm just going to ask, just because we're out of time, this product where you can search your own C drive, your own ShareNet, and as well as the internet. I like that. You know, I've got a few dozen RFPs on my C drive here on my computer, and I can't remember, you know, the best force majeure clause. It's in there. So which one was it? I can't remember. So, hey, stupid, I call my AI stupid. Hey, stupid, you know, can you just find the best clause for me on my computer? Does your tool do that?
Yes, the AI will find it, and it doesn't matter how old it is. We've had some engineers put a terabyte through of emails. They've been troubleshooting on email for 20 years. It's probably about 12 questions asked 2,500 times differently.
I totally get that. I mean, I've just updated my my memory to 8 terabytes just to cope with my, you know, decades of work on in my office, you know, suite. And if it was more searchable, it'd be much easier. Look, we're out of time. You've been very generous. Thank you for coming along. Really appreciate your contribution. It's great to see what's happening on the other side of the table, and it's much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Jess. Thank you.